Bradley, a cooking and baking enthusiast. Welcome to Food Thought, where food and culture mix. Each week we invite local professional chefs and home cooks with diverse cultural backgrounds to share recipes, culinary tastes, and food traditions. For our first season, Food Thought's theme is breaking bread. Bread is the most widely consumed food in the world, and each culture takes the ingredients, simple ones like flour, sugar, salt, yeast, and mixes them with specific characteristics and customs. Hey, this week we are welcoming Rosa, the chef and owner of RoKo's Kitchen Food Truck. Rosa is a local professional who moved to Fort Wayne from Chicago, and while living in Chicago, she earned her cooking chops in her family's restaurant. Her parents are immigrants from Taiwan. Her cooking honors her Taiwanese heritage and the recipes she grew up with. Welcome to Food Thought.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So what are we going to be making today?
So today we're going to make some bread that's popular in Taiwan. You'll find it frequently in the night markets and the bakeries. Mm-hmm. We're making 3 different versions of milk bread. Milk bread is very common in Asia, actually, mm-hmm. in all the countries, but especially in Taiwan. So Taiwan is a very interesting, like America, it is a melting pot of cultures. So you have a lot of Chinese influence, Japanese mm-hmm. influence, and actually Dutch influences, as well as a lot of native influences. So their food is diverse, and it has it takes the best of every culture,
sure.
and it has really outstanding food. So
Awesome.
I'm very excited to make this for
Awesome.
you. Taiwanese milk bread uses a method that is actually Japanese in origin. Mm-hmm. So what they do is they create a roux, and the purpose of the roux is to help the bread retain more moisture, so that's more elastic and airy, and then it has that chew that's very popular in Asian culture.
Let's do it.
Let's get started. So I'm more of an intuitive cook. I don't actually
mm-hmm.
use recipes or nesting bowls. So we're gonna start with the tangzong, which is the water roux.
Right on.
So just 2
Amazing.
tablespoons of flour. And then this is already pre-measured. So there's 3 tablespoons of whole milk and 3 tablespoons of water in here. And then there is 3 tablespoons of milk powder in mm-hmm. here. You just want to make sure you whisk this really well so that there are no lumps. Mm-hmm. And then we're just going to put this on low heat just for a couple minutes. It's smooth, there's no lumps in it. So I think this is fine. So we actually want this to cool to room temperature. So this will be a few minutes. Here I have 4 tablespoons of sugar. So I'm just going to add it to about 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of water. Mm-hmm. Very precise. And I'm just gonna create an environment that the yeast loves. So my parents were immigrants. They came here in their 20s, and they wanted a better life for my brother and I. So. Mm-hmm. But you can see now in the yeast, it's starting to bubble. Mm-hmm. And if you give it another couple minutes, it'll probably get really foamy.
Got it.
If you want, stir it up. The past couple years in this food journey has given me the opportunity to really experiment with food and to also learn so much about my own culture. And I couldn't be more grateful. Yes. So making these recipes that I got from my aunts and from my parents, and that were my grandmother's recipes, as soon as I make it and I smell it, and it brings me back. And it's not just the food, it's not just a nourishment or, oh gosh, this tastes good, which is all those things. Yes. But also it's like in that movie Ratatouille, where like the critic eats that ratatouille and it brings him back to his childhood in his mom's kitchen. It's just like that. Like I just had this pull once I made this food and I started serving it. I just gosh, this is like me paying homage to my heritage and my ancestors and my family.
Wonderful.
We should make some bread.
Yeah. How's our yeast doing?
It's bubbly. It's there. It's great. So we're going to we have our yeast. We have our tangzong, which is our water rule, and then we just want to make sure that the milk and the butter is at least at room temperature and soften. So we have half a cup of whole milk here. We have 3 tablespoons of butter. We have 1 teaspoon of salt. We only need 1 egg. I brought 2 just in case. And then I have 3 cups of flour here sifted. We may not need all that. We may need more. So we're just going to, and then here's backup flour also from the roux.
We'll back up the backup flour.
We'll back up the backup flour. So we're really just going to combine everything. I hate dishes, so normally at home I wouldn't do all this. I would just dump it in here. So we're just going to start with the 3 tablespoons of butter, the half a cup of whole milk, the 1 teaspoon of salt. So remember that yeast also already contains our 3 tablespoons of whole milk, 3 tablespoons of water, and
that sugar.
And the sugar, and the 4 tablespoons of sugar. So we have 1 egg. I'm going to scrape out our slightly thicker than ideal tangzong. It should be fine because like the Japanese one is very, very thick.
It almost looks like very thick mashed potatoes.
Yeah. So it does look like mashed potatoes. Ideally, you probably want something of pudding consistency. Like a slurry. Just gonna clean up a smidge. And then now we're going to do our 3-ish cups of flour. So I'm gonna start with 2. And this is already sifted. Start off low and then you can go to like a medium low. All right, so we mix all the dough. And after it got no longer sticky and it started to combine on the dough hook, we lightly oiled a bowl and we put it in the bowl and put saran wrap over it to let it proof for up to an hour. And you want it to double in size and it's going to be extremely puffy. And then you just kind of, if you want, you can punch it, put all your anger out.
I just poked it once.
And then, so you just want a surface or a cutting board, and then you want to flour it so nothing sticks. And then also flour your hands too, so that the dough doesn't stick on the flour. Otherwise, it gets really goopy. And then we just want to knead it. So to again redistribute that gluten. So you just want to think of in thirds. You're just going to fold over and then fold once and then fold over and then a third this way and a third this way and
so
then
to the center. It almost looks like a hot dog bun.
Right. And actually this you can feel the gluten where it kind of bounces back. So we really don't need to knead this very much because the gluten is already distributed. So what we're going to do, though, is, sorry, we are going to split this up. We are going to make 3 different buns. So I'm going to eyeball this into thirds. Maybe. And then then we just kind of knead again a couple times. I'll let you do a couple.
Sure.
And then...
And so when they're done, are you looking for a certain consistency?
You just want that bounce, so you can feel it. So go ahead and knead one, and you just a couple times, and then we're just gonna fold over and then tuck all the loose ends underneath, and then if you want, you can even pinch it.
Got it.
And then you just want to. Depending on what kind of bun you're going for, you're going to create your shape. So
that's the bounce, right? So when I push my finger in it,
it's very good gluten.
Comes right back.
Yep. And that's what you're looking for, because then you're going to get a beautiful puffy bun. And then on your grease, or you can also put parchment on your pan, just so it doesn't stick. And then, so we have one there. And then
this one ready?
Yeah, you just want to make sure there's no creases.
Nice.
Trying to pinch them.
Still have some little creases. Oh, they don't want to pinch.
Them. And then yeah, so that looks great.
Perfect.
So we're just going to have this round one. And then this last one, I'm going to do a scallion bun. So we're going to, I created earlier green onions chopped up with a little sea salt and sesame oil. And so this is another snack food. And however way you want to do it, you could braid it like challah bread, or I don't know. So I'm just going to create two. So yeah, the nice thing is the buns you get in Asian bakery are very satisfying, but not like overly sweet in most cases. So I just did a simple twist. I rolled the onions inside the two dough pieces I had, and then I just twisted it to give it some texture.
Sure.
And then you can see a little of the sesame oil kind of come out.
And so with the scallions, is that more traditional, or is that like a RoKo's kitchen fusion?
Well, it is like Chinese culture often puts scallions in their bread. So we do have a flatbread. It's called a scallion pancake that is like roti, and that is pan fried. And then we also have scallion buns. So I mean, the idea is very Chinese. You'll see buns like this. So the scallion bun is ready to go in the oven, but what we're going to do is we're going to add the cookie top to the one you rolled. So I'm just going to make this flat, preferably not on the green onions.
And this is like a cookie dough, you said, like a sugar cookie dough?
Yeah, so it's just flour, milk, powdered sugar, a little bit of salt. So it's just like a sugar cookie. And it makes a nice crust on top. So we're just going to put on top and then just caress it into it like this.
Ah, caressed.
So it looks like a little mushroom head. And then we're going to score it so it looks like kind of like a pineapple. And this is a sweet bun then because of the top. The bread is already a little bit sweet because of the sugar we added. But you see it's I don't know, I guess it looks like more of a turtle. Pineapple or turtle, however way you see it.
Yeah, I can see the side of a pineapple there, sure.
And then the other one, I was trying to do a oval shape, so I'm just gonna stretch this a little bit. And then we're just going to do an egg wash in it. If you want to make it fancy so that it, when it cooks, you can score it. Like sometimes I'll do in the middle. So then when it bakes, it just kind of opens up. And then we're going to take an egg here and whisk it. And then we're just going to do an egg wash. And that's just going to give it a nice golden color as it bakes. And I'll do a little bit on the scallion one too.
Got it.
So we're going to pop these in the oven for about 25 minutes at 350 degrees. Here, everything came out of the oven. This is the one that we're going to do the pork topping on. So
And you just put a little spice in that pork. What was that?
Oh, so Taiwan is very diverse. So there's Portuguese influences way back when. The Dutch came in the 1600s. I supposedly have a Dutch ancestor. Mainland Chinese people have come migrated to Taiwan on various occasions. My dad says there was 3 major migrations to Taiwan from the mainland. And one where my ancestors came over was in the 1600s when the Dutch colonized Taiwan. And then again, after World War II, when Mao took over the mainland China and made it communist. So there was a lot of nationalists that fled to Taiwan. And then more recently, after China has opened up, there has been more migration to Taiwan for business owners and such. And then during World War II, between World War I and World War II, Japan had ruled Taiwan. So there's a lot of Dutch, native, and Japanese and Chinese influences in the Taiwanese cuisine. So what I had here, we had made the milk bun, which the method was potentially Japanese in origin, though China has had bread for thousands of years. But with mantou and things like that. So, but another influence is one of the toppings is that furikame. It's the seaweed with sesame seeds that I incorporated in the pork floss. The pork floss is Chinese in origin, and it's essentially you take
pork floss.
Yeah, so you take like a meat jerky and you cook it further and you shred it, and so it's very fine. So it's like a meat cotton candy of some sort. So it's a little different for Americans because you're doing some savory aspects to your bread, but here we are. So again, this is a Japanese influence. This Japanese mayo called kyuki. You can get this at an Asian store. So I'm just going to top this bun with some kyuki mayo. And the difference with this to the American mayo is just it has a little bit of acidity to it, like a apple cider vinegar kind of. So I'm just going to.
It almost has like a buttery color.
Oh yeah, it's
gives
very
that yellow hue.
It has extra egg yolks in it compared to American mayo. Alrighty, so here we are. We have our pork floss bun.
Yes.
We have our sweet top bun, our scallion bun.
Yes.
And I also brought a couple pineapple cakes. This is very uniquely Taiwan. Taiwan actually has some really great pineapple. Very sweet.
Pineapple's a theme.
Yeah.
Great
well,
theme there.
so there's actually no pineapple in this one. That was just the texture that we incorporated, though it didn't come out quite right. And then we also have here bubble tea, which people don't usually know is actually from Taiwan.
Really?
Yeah.
You usually see it at the Vietnamese restaurants, right? Like banh mi or
right. So a lot of Asian places now make the bubble tea, but the origin is actually Taiwanese in origin. So I think it was a street stand in the mid 1980s that created this. So there's a texture that is very popular in Asian culture that they try to attain, and is called QQ. And it's that chewy texture, like the Italians have al dente for their pasta. They try to obtain this chewy texture in their food to give it that experience.
Gummy.
Yeah, a little gummy. So like you'll see that in the mochi and then the rice cakes and then the boba and even some of the noodles. So very popular. So cheers.
So what are boba?
Boba is the tapioca pearls. They're instead of the tapioca, we're more used to like the smaller size, like tapioca pudding. This is large tapioca, and then you just cook it, boil it, and then it becomes this gummy texture. And then some of them are flavored. So it's an experience because you're drinking and eating at the same time.
Yes.
Very efficient.
Perfect. So how do we say cheers in Taiwanese?
Gampe.
Gampe? Gampe.
Gampe.
I love bubble tea so much. All right, we've chewed our drink.
Chewed our drink. So now what would you like to try first?
All of it. Let's go for the pork bun. I don't usually eat a lot of pork, but that looks amazing.
Yeah, it's a little different. So I'm just going to
Is there an order you would normally go in, or does it matter? Is there one that's more of like a dinner bun or a breakfast bun?
No, it's literally
or
like
lunch?
going to the bakery and eating whatever you feel like. So I'm gonna let you use this plate, and I will take this side, and you can take that side and touch. So it's a little different.
Uh-huh.
So you can see the crumb texture of the milk bun, and you can see that it's
Mm-hmm.
very well distributed. There's a lot of small air pockets that has given it a lot of rise. There's a lot of gluten.
Yeah.
We did use a bread flour. So the bread flour has, I think, 12.7% gluten.
Sure. Let's give it a shot.
So
That's phenomenal.
the next up, let's do the scallion and try to stay in the savory side. So that side's yours,
Oh, the big side.
the big side. So this is just a little different. Just adds scallions. There's some black sesame on there, sea salt, and sesame oil. So the last one we have up is a sweet top bun. So this has that cookie crust on top.
No, I can't wait.
Yeah. Here you are. So normally it would be a thicker cookie on top. Kind of melted a little. Yeah. Those are my favorite. So normally we don't bake buns at home because there's bakeries like every 2 or 3
Sure.
blocks in Taiwan, and they're so inexpensive.
Love it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Food Thought and breaking bread with us. Because who doesn't need a few more carbs in their life?